Where do I begin? Start on a positive note. Got it running eventually. The harness did finally show up. Got it all installed. And it was constant issue after issue. Mainly being I didn't have enough grounds. I didn't buy the ground harness from Wiring Specialties, which they said was, you know, very highly recommended, but, you know, I don't listen. The first issue was I thought the starter was bad. The Wiring Specialties harness does not come with your main power wires to your alternator or your starter. And the factory PQ one doesn't work because the starter and alternator are on different sides. So I had to go and get some 4-gauge wire. I didn't think, you know, that'd be an issue because, you know, I spent a lot of money on that harness, so I figured I could just literally plug and play as said without issues. But not the case. That's really the only thing that it absolutely needed, other than, you know, grounds, obviously. So after I figured that out, it finally cranked over and blew main fuses because, as talked about, it didn't have enough grounds. So blew the $50 main fuse and replaced that, ran a bunch more 4-gauge grounds, and that fixed it. Right, new battery, bunch of new grounds. Phone's about to die, but let's see what happens. That's a good sign. Okay. I had all kinds of issues with it wanting to idle. Obviously, I know Toyota factory ECUs have relearning time, which takes forever. But in this case, I didn't realize till way later that I had a lot of the vacuum lines hooked up incorrectly. I ended up actually replacing the map sensor and all the coil packs replaced with genuine Denso OEM coil packs. After I swapped a few of the vacuum lines around, I finally got it to run decent. And it made Jay-Z noises, and that's been like the main goal for going on 7-8 months now, something like that. I have no idea anymore. bind it, something happened. The engine started immediately after that video. You can actually hear a click at the very end. Something happened. Turns out it was a number of things. I fucking installed the pilot bearing wrong. It didn't actually go in center. It's a very, very tight tolerance, and I didn't know that you're actually supposed to sand it down slightly. That's one of the tricks, I guess, to getting it to work correctly. The other thing was, I thought the oil pump failed. Turns out, after I pulled it and assessed everything, I'm pretty sure I had my lines on my oil relocation kit installed incorrectly, which caused no oil pressure. I'm not 100% sure on that though. I haven't pulled the oil pump apart, but I pulled the sensor off the block and I cranked it over and absolutely no oil came out. So that is yet to be assessed. But the fact is, the engine ran for a decent amount of time with no oil pressure, because I was trying to figure out what the hell. I didn't think it'd be that at first, but the main and rod bearings say otherwise. But anyways, after I realized that there's absolutely no oil pressure and it's not a sensor issue, it's not anything, I decided I needed to pull the motor. I had to face the facts, just do it. I really didn't want to. But here's a little montage, because I know how much y'all love montages. Here we have main bearing number 1. Decent amount of scoring. We got some pitting going on, some scratches. This is rod bearing number 1. Extremely scored. Lots of pitting still. Lots of scratches. We have main number 2. Again, lots of pitting, lots of scratches. Rod bearing number 2. Lots of pitting on this one. Lots of scratches. I could tell in a lot of these this engine had sat for a long time. A lot of this damage may not have been from me too. It could have also been from whoever had it last, lapsed on oil changes. But I'm willing to bet too the majority of it was because of me. I did notice as I was pulling this apart and discussed with a friend, this is my lower timing cover. That's where the crank pulley goes. There's 2 things that this could be caused by. Crank walk or a bad crank pulley or harmonic balancer. I noticed this the first time around putting gaskets through this engine, and I assumed that it may have been due to the bolts coming loose at some point in time. I don't know, but now I'm starting to believe that it was a more serious issue. Crankshaft doesn't look much better. It's salvageable. It's got a lot of pits, a lot of scratches that you can catch a nail on. Like this one, that's a good one. A lot of stuff that would totally mangle some new bearings. This is my 4th engine now, and I'm rather over having all kinds of issues, and I'm really like dying for peace of mind. So I think as of now, a new bottom end is in order, a new short block. So it's gonna take a little time, but I think it'll be very worth it in the end. I'm not getting rid of this block because obviously it is salvageable, and you know, it's great to have a backup. I'll rebuild it over time. It'll be something fun to do. So we're gonna potentially go this route. I could just be really mad right now, and I could decide, okay, let's rebuild this. Let's rebuild this and take a deep breath. It's gonna take time. But again, I'm dying for a peace of mind. I'm done with the problems. So more than likely I'm set to do this right and spend a little more than I wanted to, but buy a 2JZ, they said. Anyways, stay tuned, because I don't give up. I continue on, and I just push through, and the roller coaster ride comes to an end eventually. Not with me selling the car or the engines or anything, so reverting to stock has never been an option. So, again, stay tuned. Thank you.